What's happening, guys? This is Double RPG here, and I'm here to present another 2 Cents video on the 2 Cents block to you all. As you all know, Nintendo held their latest Nintendo Direct back on Wednesday of this week, and I did a live stream where a group of my friends that I talked to on Discord and Facebook got together to deliver our impressions and reactions to all the news that was present. The Nintendo 3DS content was more of okay material, as that didn't really grasp my interest, except for maybe a few things like Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney 3DS Edition, Metroid Samus Returns, Mario Party the 100, and possibly Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition. It was pretty shallow in those areas. However, I thought that what Nintendo showcased in terms of the Nintendo Switch content was extremely satisfying. Those big moments for me were when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 from Monolith Soft and Project Octopath Traveler from Square Enix were the two big highlight titles they covered greatly. Lyn from Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade being a playable character in Fire Emblem Warriors, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, LA Noire coming from Rockstar Games as they are bringing that enhanced port for both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Kirby Star Allies being shown off some more after its reveal from E3 2017, and Super Mario Odyssey with more updates on what we can expect from that game to come out when it releases. However, my biggest surprise and highlight from the Nintendo Direct was when it was announced that the games Doom from last year and Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus, are coming to the Nintendo Switch. You heard me right, Doom 2016 and the new Wolfenstein game that is in development. You never thought that games like those, which are graphically strong in its visuals, would end up on a Nintendo platform. Granted, they may not be graphically strong as the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or even the PC version, but it is still coming onto the new Nintendo console. Having these games and Elder Scrolls V Skyrim being on the Nintendo Switch just goes to show that Nintendo and Bethesda's relationship has grown very strong, and that is the kind of thing that Nintendo needs to make sure that their hardware continues to sell strong. If the technology is adaptable to what third parties want to see in hardware to port their games over, or to create newer games on there, and if that technology is a fascinating thing for the consumer to want to go out and buy it to play those games aside from just first-party content, then that is the thing that a first party like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft need to ensure a brighter future for their hardware business. We have seen this with the PlayStation 4 with how much of a major success it has become thus far, and Nintendo following suit with the impressive sales numbers and strong relationships from third parties just goes to show that they most certainly learned so much with why their last console, the Wii U, was a major bust. It makes me very happy that something like the Nintendo Switch gaining strong momentum from itself, the sales from consumers, and the strong relationships they have with third parties at this time. I mean, you have Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Koei Tecmo, Sega, Bethesda, Rockstar Games, and even 2K Games begin to see that Nintendo has certainly changed with figuring out what developers and publishers want for newer hardware. As much as it looks that Nintendo definitely has a strong future ahead of it with their own first-party content, indie developers, and third-party companies, there are a couple of areas I need to address if the platform is to continue building on the success that it is currently doing right at this time. Those areas are towards certain third parties that still have not given the Nintendo Switch their full-on endorsements such as EA, Activision, Capcom, and even Konami, and the install base who are most likely not wanting to go out and buy those third-party games if they already have a Nintendo Switch. First of all, let us start off with the third parties that still haven't fully invested in the Nintendo Switch. I'll be directing my attention to each third party, so don't you guys worry. Let us start off with EA. Look, I know that FIFA is one of your biggest sellers and that you are currently testing the waters with that game to see if it'll actually sell on the Nintendo Switch. I get it. However, you coming out and saying that the Nintendo Switch has been extremely difficult to program a game like FIFA 18 on, when you have your competitors such as Bethesda, 2K Games, and even Rockstar putting in their full support for the platform with big hits such as Elder Scrolls V, Doom 2016, Wolfenstein II The New Colossus, WWE 2K18, NBA 2K18, and even LA Noire of all games just goes to show that they are very confident in the system, the technology, and the sales that it is continuously growing at this time. I find it hard to believe that you aren't investing your time with putting in games such as the next Battlefield, the other sports games, Need for Speed, and even Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the Switch. That really blows my mind that those games aren't even currently considered for Switch ports, especially Star Wars Battlefront 2, or possibly even the newest games that are currently in development. EA, I get it. FIFA is possibly your best-selling sports title under your name, and chances are the game is going to do well in the sales. But testing the waters with only one game, and the fact that you are being extremely cautious when other third parties that are mostly your competitors putting in their full support, should have made you change your stance. Same thing when it comes to Capcom, which is the next company I'm directing my vocalization towards. Capcom. You asked Nintendo to increase the Switch's performance capabilities so that a game like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard can run on that device, but all you have released is Ultra Street Fighter II The Final Challengers, which was a major success in your eyes, and it's an over 25-year-old game, whereas you have Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 coming out when they are last-gen games coming onto the Nintendo Switch. You have those games for the Switch, along with the enhanced port of Monster Hunter Double Cross, but where are games like Monster Hunter World, the Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 7, or even HD ports of older games like Okami HD when it's releasing on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC? Granted, I'm sure that you are planning a Switch port of Okami HD since it is most likely one of the many versions of your catalog of games coming for the system, but what about some of the stuff that can run on current generation hardware too? I know I hate to say this, but where are Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite for the Switch? Capcom, you and EA are possibly the most overly cautious that a Western company like Bethesda and a Japanese company like Square Enix are kicking your asses with having faith in the platform. Hey Activision, where's Call of Duty World War II? Hey Konami, what new do you have that is after Super Bomberman R? Where's some Metal Gear games? Where's Pro Evolution Soccer at for the Switch? Where's some of those games you own and that of Hudson Soft that you bought? Hey Ubisoft, where's Assassin's Creed Origins? I really do like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle you put out last month, and that you have Steep coming out soon for the platform, but where are some of those AAA games that should be on the Switch? Hey Square Enix, I know you are putting in much strong support for the Switch since you have games like Dragon Quest XI, Dragon Quest Builders 1 and 2, Project Octopath Traveler, the Fear Effect remake, and others I'm sure you have in the pipeline, but I'm definitely more optimistic that you can custom build the original version of Final Fantasy XV on the Switch, and it'll run just fine. Sure, they may not be on graphical parity with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or even the upcoming PC version of the game, but if the game runs well on the Switch hardware with no problem, and if the presentation doesn't hinder the game's quality, then it should be a win-win situation for you guys. That way, you can get some of those other big games like Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake to appear on the Switch, since it is very capable of running games like those that use Unreal Engine 4. You guys get what I'm saying? If a company like Bethesda is having faith in the Switch, with putting in hardcore games like last year's Doom and the upcoming Wolfenstein II The New Colossus, which they may be more likely testing the waters with current-gen games this time around, then there shouldn't be any reason why some of those games that are sure to make money for those companies can't be on the Nintendo Switch either. Besides, the first footage of Doom running on the Nintendo Switch surfaced online, and it looks fascinating with how it performs on the device. Lastly, it's time for me to address those who aren't taking third-party seriously, hating the Switch because of no reason whatsoever. Those who wanted third-party games are finally getting their wish, but they aren't going to buy those games because of sheer ignorance to their initial beliefs, or those who are still on the fence about the hybrid console. For those who are not taking third-party seriously, now is the time for change. I know that most of you were, and mostly still are very critical with how third parties have treated Nintendo platforms since the days of the Nintendo 64 up to the Nintendo Wii U, and possibly even now, but when games like Doom and Wolfenstein II The New Colossus are going to appear on the Switch, I think that is a good reason not to worry anymore. You have games like those that you can take with you on the go, or play at home, so you shouldn't have to worry about only playing those games at home. Plus, a game like Rocket League, Sonic Forces, and Dragon Quest XI appearing on there just shows that third-party support is much better than the Wii and Wii U this time around, and the games from those third-party companies are continuing to stack up with no stop. Now, I'm sure that you are probably going to say where games like Tekken 7, Berserk and the Band of the Hawk, Grand Theft Auto 5, the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm fighting games, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain, Darksiders 3, Secret of Mana Remake, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2, or even something like the new IP from BioWare R. I can see what you are saying, but when a top-tier company like Bethesda has announced Doom and Wolfenstein II The New Colossus for the Switch, I'm pretty sure that third parties who don't have those games that I mentioned are most likely seeing this as a wake-up call that they need to get their games on the Switch, since people like Ubisoft, Square Enix, Rockstar Games, 2K Games, and Bethesda are taking the platform more seriously. As long as the sales keep on growing from consumers, the first-party games continue to entice more people to the platform, and the sales of games like Doom put on some stellar results, the third parties are going to see that the Switch is a profitable system that they'll put their games on. Now, let us delve into the people hating on the Switch just because they feel like it. I've been hearing those people are just shrugging off the fact that games like Doom and Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus are coming to the Switch, and that they won't be on par with how the games look visually on the competitors' platforms and the PC. But are visuals the determining factor with what makes a game great or not? No! The visuals don't have to be fully on par with that 1:1 ratio like the other versions. It can be downgraded in graphics and still run just fine on the Switch if it can successfully do that. If it does, then the Nintendo Switch should not be ignored. If you still shrug it off when developers and publishers show proof with their games running fine on the system, even when the graphics are downgraded even by a cinch, then you are just being a blind hater and not being an objective critic. Hating on something because you feel like it holds no water. It's the same with how third parties who are still holding out on the Switch should have no excuse to not put their games on the platform anymore, now that Doom and Wolfenstein 2 are coming on there. If you say stuff like how the system's internal storage being too low, and that you have to get a micro SDXC card for so much capacity in the games since certain Switch games will require extra space, then that is a valid argument. Shrugging off and ignoring the positives with what Nintendo is actually doing more so than the negatives shouldn't be a valid excuse for why you aren't giving the hybrid console a fair shake. Next up, let us talk about those who want to see third-party support, but not actually buy those games when they are announced. I'm going to say this right here and right now. Go by what you say and stand by it at all times. If you aren't being serious overall, then you are terrible with not going by your conviction. When the Wii U was first released, there were more third-party games than there were first-party titles. I bought those launch games from third parties when they came out. Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Darksiders 2, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Zombie U, Epic Mickey 2, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, Assassin's Creed 3, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and even Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper. I even bought later games like Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Lego City Undercover, Rayman Legends, The Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 1 and 2, Need for Speed Most Wanted U, The Amazing Spider-Man, and even Batman Arkham Origins. Why? Because I want third parties to succeed on a Nintendo device, but history became what it is with the Wii U, and publishers dropped their support because of how archaic and hard it was to program their games on that device. With the Nintendo Switch, I bought Ultra Street Fighter II The Final Challengers and Has-Been Heroes so far. I plan on getting WWE 2K18, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Doom, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, LA Noire, Sonic Forces, Steep, Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus, and whatever captivates me to actually buy those games on the system, including ones that I missed out on at first like Cave Story Plus. Why? Going back on my statement about why I bought those third-party games on the Wii U, it is because I want third-party games to succeed well on the Switch. If you have that conviction, stand by it at all times. Don't say that you want to see those games on a Nintendo platform, but you immediately disregard them because of something minor that really annoys you, or that you don't literally give a shit whatsoever. If later games like Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Grand Theft Auto 5, Monster Hunter World, Tekken 7, and others actually appear on the Switch, then you can guarantee I'll buy them on there, since I will show my full support for them, and you would do the same too. First-party content is great for any system, yes, but third-party support is just as important too, guys. If you ignore those games and they don't sell well, then third parties are going to jump ship. Why? Because you didn't support them, and that is your fault for going by your white lie. For those who are still on the fence with the console, the only thing I can say is, since I already touched this upon my other 3 points, what are you waiting for? You now have a good reason to pick up a Nintendo Switch because of the first-party, third-party, and indie developer content that is on the horizon. Don't say that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have games, because it is most certainly getting games. If you support the platform, and the sales of both the console and the games from the first and third parties grow like wildfire, then you have nothing to worry about. So in the end, I am very happy with how the Nintendo Switch is doing when it comes to not only its first-party content, which is always mostly phenomenal, but the surprise announcements from third parties like Doom and Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus makes me even more optimistic about the console's future. If they all run fine on the platform, even at the cost of reducing graphics or to custom build the game for the platform, then the Nintendo Switch will ensure Nintendo an incredible future as a hardware manufacturer, instead of just a game developer. Don't let them down now that third parties are taking the system seriously. It would be wasted potential if you don't give those games a fair shake. Anyway, that is all of my praise and vocalization toward those who think otherwise about the Nintendo Switch from the latest Nintendo Direct. Now I want to hear from all of you. Do you think that games like Doom, Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus, or even LA Noire are enough to warrant a brighter future for Nintendo? Or do you think that there should be specific games on there that will make you invested in the device? Make sure to rate this video as well as leaving your feedback down in the comments. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button underneath this video, as more support from you guys will mean that more content is coming from me in the future that you won't find anywhere else. Until next time, this is RRPG signing off by saying Godspeed and game on, gamers. Have a good one.